Welcome back to episode 106 of the Workbench After Hours podcast. We got some new whiskey in front of us. Chris, what is it?
It is, I believe, James E. Pepper.
That's it.
And so this is batch number 11. So this is barrel proof. So it's a higher alcohol content. And on the sides here, it says it is uncut and unfiltered with a rich, full flavor and balanced notes of caramel, toasted oak, rye, and malt.
There you go. It's a unique blend of their oldest stocks. So it's a blended whiskey. They got their old stuff, and then they got their newer stuff kind of mixed in. So their older stock mixed in with some new toasted oak and charred barrels. And the new ones are aged for a minimum of 18 to 24 months. But then you have an overall age of the whiskeys that's mixed in here of 5.5. So
Batch number 11.
yes, it is. And to me, it smells really sweet.
Yeah, sweet, and then I get that burn from the alcohol if you sniff it hard enough.
That's pretty much any whiskey now, though. We'll do that. But it's, there's that burn.
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting,
You get that oaky and that charred oak for sure.
yeah. It's not bad. It's different. It's got a little bit of a different stuff going on. I definitely get
Especially
a lot
on
of,
the front side.
yeah,
it's
I get a
different.
lot of the dried fruits for sure.
Yeah. Backside just burn.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I get burned. I can feel it, my chest heating up.
I knew nothing about this, and I was at the liquor store yesterday looking for Buffalo Trace, and ended up getting a bottle of that. But he showed me this, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard of it
Yeah.
or anything, and the bottle looked kind of cool, so I'm like, you know what, let's try it. It's like $60, like 50 something,
It's
I
not
think.
bad.
Not
For a
terrible.
barrel proof.
Yeah, the thing that got me is the kind of the mixing of the different ages of whiskeys. I'm like, well, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Let's try that. So it's definitely darker in flavor than we're used to.
This is definitely like a winter whiskey for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you get a lot of fruit, like fruity on the front end.
Yeah. I was initially thinking I'd get a lot of caramel, but no, it's pretty much vanilla.
Yeah.
And then dark fruits, dark chocolate
Yep.
on the back end there, which usually I have a hard time finding the chocolate notes, but I can definitely get it on this.
Yeah, it's a little out there. It's different for sure.
So
It's
yeah,
not bad. It's
yeah,
dark. It's very dark.
it is, but kind of cool that it comes in a decanter style bottle
Yeah.
and all that out of Kentucky. So yeah, the James E. Pepper Distilling Company out of Lexington, Kentucky. So, yeah,
Interesting.
cool.
Add another one to the list.
Another one to the list. There you go. So we are doing another live stream. So if you guys are on and just want to chat with us, feel free to comment in that comment section down below there. There's a little bit of a delay from when you set your comment to where we can see it, but it'll come right through. We'll post it up and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go straight to the rocks because
Yeah.
it's a little.
It's got that little bit of heat.
I really liked that Macallan 12 from last year or last week.
Yeah, it was shocking how good it was for a Scotch whiskey.
I think I just hate poured myself.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my god. All right. Well, here we go.
Better you than me.
All right. So I had a couple things that I wanted to talk about for sure this week in the gun realm, and I'm sure we've all kind of keeping an eye on this, but what's the worst state as far as gun control goes, Chris? I know there's a handful of them, but what's probably the worst?
California.
There you go. Yes. So unfortunately, we have more proposed gun legislation in California. And of course, they're wanting to ban everything. You basically can own featureless guns
And a musket, probably.
out there. I'm sure they're going to find a way to get rid of your
Anything
musket
that
there.
has black powder.
Right. But so they introduced this bill on Valentine's Day, February of this year.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to actually share my screen real quick just so you can see it. This is it. The California Senate Bill 1106, introduced by none other than a Democrat, of course. And this is kind of the summary of the bill. But what they're wanting to do is register all firearms. So instead of, they're still trying to obviously go after bannings, but now they want you to register all of them.
Nope.
Yes,
That's unconstitutional.
but it saves lives, Chris.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll register all my guns when they have proof of their registered voters.
Right?
That's what I say.
So their existing law is kind of like most states. You go to an FFL, you fill out the paperwork. That FFL keeps that paperwork for an X amount of time, and that's the registry. The government technically doesn't know what you have unless they,
seize for it.
Yeah, submit a subpoena for that, or sometimes the ATF, if they're doing a gun trace, will call the FFL and get some information on it. But otherwise, there's no current gun registry. But with this, it would obviously create one. So this bill would require every firearm in the state, which, how many firearms do you think are
I bet there's a lot
in law-abiding citizens' hands? I'm sure a lot less than the people that are supposed to have them. So require every firearm in the state, except for those that are specifically exempted, to be annually registered with the department. So not only do you have to do it once, you have to do it annually. And it would require the registrant to annually pay a fee, which hasn't been decided yet. So it could be
That's bullshit.
Something cheap as $20, or it could be, $1,000
a gun.
And this is per gun. So you got to pay an annual fee as specified to be deposited into a special fund that is continuously appropriated to the department for the express purpose of carrying out the administration and enforcement of this registry.
So where's those funds going?
So it's going to the people that have to do the paperwork for this registry.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what they say here.
I doubted that,
right?
First off, because they're going to probably blow that up and make it so expensive and outrageous. I would bet.
And it's like, okay, how many people are actually going to apply to this?
Yeah.
If this were any other state, I'd be like, it's not going to pass. But California, you never know.
Yeah.
So apparently, whatever the fee is going to be is going to go to all the administrative fees for running.
So what are
this
these people
registry.
going to make? They're going to make what, 6 figures probably? Every single one of them in that little agency or department?
I don't know. It's vague. It doesn't say anything like that. But you have to establish and maintain a system for the annual registration of firearms, which anything government related is a shit show. So I don't know how well that program would be, and I'm sure it would have a lot of bugs.
It's paper law.
But don't worry, all the money that you're paying will eventually go to that. And so it would require the department to make reasonable efforts to notify firearms dealers, firearms owners, and the general public regarding the registration requirements. So that's also the money's going to, hey, guess what? You guys have to register your guns now.
Yeah, no thanks.
The bill would prohibit possession of an unregistered firearm, a violation of which would be punishable as an infraction. And by creating a new infraction, this bill would impose a state-mandated local program. And the California Constitution requires the state to reimburse local agencies and school districts for certain costs mandated by the state. Wow.
So California has their own constitution? What about the American Constitution?
Well, every state has their own constitution for the most part.
We need to follow the American.
Yeah.
This is BS.
And there's a whole subsection here where it kind of goes into a little bit of do this, not that. One of them is, if you don't want to comply and register, you can just surrender your firearm.
No, thank you.
So you don't want them to know what you have. Oh, don't worry. You can give us your gun. We're not going to give you any money for it.
Yeah, go kick dirt.
Yeah, and it's basically, them saying that, and this would be starting in 2025.
I wonder what would be cheaper, the fine down here for $1,000 for the infraction, or actually paying for it.
Yeah, so it would go into effect April 1st, 2025, and then commencing on July 1st, 2025, any person who owns, possesses, or has custody or control over any firearm subject to their registration would get that infraction and a fine of $1,000 per gun. It doesn't say that, but it would be per gun. So $1,000. If you have 10 guns, that's $10,000.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure they're going to be like, "Oh, you're a felon now. You can not."
But it's an infraction. It doesn't say a felony charge. I bet it's like a misdemeanor.
Is that what that is?
I'm guessing. Because if they were going to say that you're a felon, I'm sure they would say a felon.
Any person choosing not to register a firearm, they may surrender. to any local law enforcement agency.
And then they're going to turn around and sell it and make profit off of it.
Yeah, I'd like to know what they would do with those guns.
I guarantee they're on Purple Wave. I guarantee it, because you go on Purple Wave and you can find guns from like local law enforcement from like either a crime that got committed, and you can turn around and buy the gun, but you have to be an FFL to buy the gun or purchase it for transferring purposes. But I'm like, I guarantee that's what they'll probably do.
Say this went into effect. How many people do you think would actually comply?
Maybe 1%. I guarantee there would be a lot of people that don't.
Because this is supposed to stop violence and gun violence out there, which, okay, maybe you'll get some citizens that are scared and they'll comply and register their gun. You're not going to get a single
member or a criminal
to register their gun, because I'm sure there's something you have to go through to prove that you're legally able to own that gun anyway.
Yep.
So good luck if this were to pass. Yeah. I just don't see it.
I don't either.
But, California.
So ready for California to go bye-bye.
We just all need to hope and pray that Governor Newsom never
what we need
makes
to
it
do
to the
is
White House.
Since all the Californians are coming into the Midwest trying to take over, we need to go out there and take over.
Right.
And turn it to a Republican
None of us
state.
can afford to go out there.
No.
The prices are so damn high.
No.
Make it be like, these are the cool types of guns that you guys are missing out on. Look, this is what an AR-15 actually looks like it should use. Whereas if you've ever seen a California compliant AR, it is
weird looking.
And it's like, how are you even supposed to shoot that?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point. But now that you have that featureless gun, if this were to pass, now you have to register and pay a fee to own that gun every year.
Yeah, screw that.
Right? Just in one state, can you imagine how big, if everybody complied, how big that registry would be?
Oh, it'd be huge.
Like, I know how many guns I transfer, and I'm just a small run out of my house business, and it's like, damn.
You got to think, probably on the majority of households that do have a gun, I bet there's probably 4 or 5 guns per household.
So in order for this to cover all the costs for the administration and the program that they have to create, and then the people that are enforcing this, they'd have to actually charge a decent amount of money per firearm to cover that, because that's a lot of work. If you're making people do this
not only that,
annually,
software, and then I'm guaranteed it'll be on the web somehow.
Oh yeah.
So then they got to worry about cybersecurity and someone not taking that information away and selling it, because then you're losing people's privacy and invading their privacy at that point.
Well, and then this is probably their end goal here, is to make you register all your firearms, and then, guess what? Now these are all illegal. We know what you have.
Yeah.
I know
I guarantee that's what it's for.
Yeah.
So they can go after you, take your gun, strip you down, and then do what they did back in the old days.
But the fact that it's annually and not just a one-time thing is ridiculous.
Stupid.
And that's where the excessive cost is going to go.
That's where a lot of these Democratic states are trying to do now.
Yep.
It's stupid.
And I wonder how that would work, like, because you buy a gun, like, 1 month and then another month.
I would move out of the fucking state. I'd make them go bankrupt.
Right?
Like, I don't understand why people just don't. It's so freaking expensive to live there. Go somewhere where it's cheaper and there it's gun friendly. Screw that state.
A lot of those cities are bankrupt anyway, because they were doing that whole thing where they're reimbursing families were of color, and I forgot what that was called.
Racism.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But they had something called that where they're going to pay these families a lot of money because their ancestors weren't allowed to buy a house or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you guys don't have the money to do that anyway, but you're going to do it.
That's what I do. I just try to make that state go completely broke, where they are so dysfunctional they can't do anything.
I mean, our government is how many trillions of dollars in debt, but we're still working. Biden's somehow paying off all these student loans with what money? Where's this money coming from? Like, I would love my student loans to go away, but it's just going to be a snowball effect, because you do it for this generation. Well, what about the kids that are just about to go to school and get those?
It's going to keep going and going and going.
You got to fix the main problem, which is the cost.
Yeah.
Make it cheaper to go to school.
What they need to do is put, in state, this is the most you can charge. Mm-hmm. That's it. You can't go above. Like these D1 schools, it's ridiculous what these people pay for some of these schools.
Yeah.
$100,000 a semester for what? No. Make it where like if you're paying that much, that's how much you should when you get out you should be making. Is the way I look at it. You put in what you get out.
Yeah. And that's why I went to a 2-year community college, lived at home, and then that way I had no interest in living in a dorm.
Yeah.
So then I didn't have to do that, and then saved. Basically, that was all paid for through scholarships, and then my dad paid the rest, and then went to a cheaper 4-year school, did 2.5 years down there, and spent. I think my whole 2.5 years down there was less than what my sister paid for a year.
Yeah, probably
at KU.
Easy.
Mm-hmm. It's insane.
I guarantee it.
And then at least in Pittsburgh, the classes are small.
Well, that and they also had that flat rate, so you paid to be a full-time student, and you could exceed those hours after that. Mm-hmm. So that made it. Oh, I paid for 12, but I can take 17, 20 hours, whatever the max they'd let you take.
Yeah.
So you could even get it done faster. But then you'd have no life.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a whole different subject, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine this passing even in California, but never say never in California because it's Democrat run and they hate guns and are limiting your rights out there
They're
the way it
Democrats.
is.
They hate everything about America.
But if this were to pass, I'm sure other states would see this and be like New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, Washington, Oregon, all those anti-gun states are going to be like, oh, look. But then it's also a look at the cost. And again, it's going to cost a lot of money. So then you got to charge people. Of course, maybe that's the thing. You can't afford to register all your guns annually. Guess what?
Can't have them.
Can't have them. You're going to surrender them.
I would just say I don't have any.
So this is only going to affect the law-abiding citizens because, like we said, criminals aren't going to register those guns at all.
Yep. It's crazy.
God, that I would really want them to put a dollar figure because, I mean,
so
I don't have a crap ton of guns, but I got enough to where an annual registry would
probably
suck.
hurt.
Yeah. Even if it's $100, $50, $20, still.
Yeah.
Per gun. What would that be involved? Like, you got to. I'm wondering if there's a continuous list and be like, yes, I still have this gun, blah, blah, blah.
No, sold it. Who'd you sold it to?
Oh man, don't sell it because
I guarantee that's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. And
I lost it in a boating accident.
If this is something that the FFLs have to do, oh God, I would not.
I'd be done.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. It's unconstitutional. Bye.
I wonder how many gun stores there are in California anyway. Like,
I don't know.
Business can't be good. You'd make more money on the black market.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And you do anything criminal in California, you get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. I mean, they're letting people rob stores in broad daylight and not carrying.
So this is going to do nothing.
Yep.
Absolutely nothing. And like we said on the last week, we kind of mentioned the Kansas City parade shooting.
Yeah.
Kind of want to circle back to that because immediately after that, there was all these calls for gun bans.
Yep.
Joe Biden immediately said, we need to ban, and it's funny because they use handguns, but his thing was, we need to ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines. Neither one of these guns fit that profile.
That and the other thing is they're juvenile. They shouldn't have had it anyway. So your gun control would not have stopped it.
No.
Because they still got them illegally at their age.
So you anti-gunners, you want some facts on why? Well, here's a real world example right there. Gun control would not have fixed this. Even if you were to ban guns or whatever, they were still not legally able to have those guns. So that goes to show you criminals
Would be criminals.
don't follow the rules.
Yep.
And they still did what they did. So even if you were to ban assault weapons that are so-called assault weapons and high capacity mags, that would not have stopped this.
Yeah,
you have to be 21 to have a handgun, and they were obviously under 21.
Yep.
And as far as how they got them, I don't know, but obviously there's that black market, and you know, maybe a friend bought them. Who knows?
Who
but
knows?
That's a prime example of gun control not working.
Yep.
And you're just going to hurt the other people around them that can't defend themselves in that type of situation.
They're kind of lucky that there wasn't more people around, because with them being a concealed carry state and not having a permit.
You know, I thought about this, but here's my thoughts on, you know, where I was like, it's good for a good guy to stop a bad guy with a gun. And
I mean, technically, good guys did stop the person.
They did. And you're seeing that more and more now is in these situations. You're seeing a lot of people actually take action before waiting on the cops and stuff like that. But say, because it is concealed carry state, like you said, say a good guy with a gun saw these guys shooting the crowd. And it wasn't like they just went in and started shooting.
Yeah.
There was something that happened and
Altercation,
chaos
supposedly.
happened. And the thing is, if there was a good citizen legally carrying a gun that would have pulled it and tried to shoot
Yeah.
one or two of these guys, that could have been a bad situation for that person because one,
all the people around.
all
If
the
you
people
miss-
around, so you miss, then you're just in as much trouble as the other guy. But then I was thinking about this, like, there's so much chaos. There's 600 cops there, and they're all coming to that scene at once. What are the chances of, as soon as you pull out that gun and you actually shoot the threat,
Yeah.
but then all of a sudden, all these people and the cops see you with the gun, and all of a sudden they think you're the shooter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that,
then
that would be terrible.
You're either going to be shot dead or you're in a world of hurt. So that's why I'm glad a good guy with a gun did not pull
They
out his
tackled
gun.
him. Good job.
Because I think pulling out your gun to stop this threat would have.
Yeah. Like maybe a
resulted in-
mall scenario or a store scenario, something like that would probably be better, but not in a crowd like that.
No, too many people, and then way too many cops.
And I guarantee there's people down there carrying.
Oh yeah, but as soon as you draw your gun,
Yeah.
everybody's looking for somebody with a gun, so they're gonna automatically think you're
And you get the blame.
yes.
Yep.
And then you got to fight your way out of that. Prove
That would not be fun.
no, no, it wouldn't. But I heard one. I forgot who it was. Somebody was talking about that shooting and called the juveniles thugs.
Yeah.
And that person got so much backlash and called a racist because he called them thugs. It's like, okay, first of all, I don't care what color skin you are. Look at the profile of these
Yeah.
juveniles. Just saying.
Anybody can be a thug.
Yeah. A white guy could be a thug.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you're
You're a low life scum.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
illegally carrying a gun,
Yeah.
and then you decide to pop off in a crowd of 1 million people, and how stupid can you be knowing that there's 600 cops around?
That was dumb.
That's-
I thought that was more like a political move.
I don't know.
thought something was really fishy about that.
Yeah, but it's like, how stupid can you be?
Yeah.
This thing is surrounded by, and
Police.
you got snipers everywhere, and you're gonna pull out a gun and start
You
this
got
shit.
FBI there. You got, I don't know.
Yeah, the FBI building and the ATF building is pretty close in proximity to where the shooting happened, and that's why they were on scene pretty quick.
Yeah. Because that was one thing I was like, man, they got there quick. And I was like, oh, yeah. That stuff is right there.
Yeah, it's like that. Stupid.
Yeah.
But
I can't.
I think the fact that that guy got called a racist because he called them thugs, I'm like,
He just said
what?
the description.
what? Come
People
on.
are
You're just
so-
trying to start crap at this point.
People, yeah, I'm tired of it. Woke society. Snowflakes.
Right. So that's California and all that stuff right now. There's always stuff coming out.
Yeah. Sorry, California.
The
you
other
don't like
one,
it, move.
yes. The other thing I wanted to talk about is something else that's been going on with Biden's ATF, because Biden's ATF is trying to make all these laws that they aren't legal. They're making all these final rules that aren't going through the correct process to become a law.
Yeah.
Like ATF,
He just thinks that he's the king and he can do what he wants. That's how he looks at it. He's looking at a dictatorship and communism.
and that he's saving people and all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So ATF has been on their high horse thinking they have all this power that they actually don't. So there's now a policy, or has been a policy that ATF has, and it's their zero tolerance policy. And this is in regards to FFLs. So good guys. It's not like their zero policy towards those juveniles with a gun that was illegal. So what they're doing is, usually if you have an FFL, whether you're home based like me or you own a shop, every so often you get, they come out and they kind of check your stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're doing the paperwork right. There's no errors anywhere.
Yeah.
They basically do an inspection. Now, they're a little bit harsher on actual gun stores and gun shops just because they're doing a lot more business. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. A lot of hands, people probably doing the books, doing the background checks, so they're more thorough with those. Whereas home-based, it's a little more laid back. One person handles everything like myself. Wasn't too bad. Normally, if you make a mistake, it's a small clerical error, not a big deal. They're like, hey, this is the problem. Here's what you need to do to fix it.
Yeah.
And moving forward, don't make this mistake again. That's how it always has been, is small clerical errors. Not a big deal, not breaking the law, but stuff happens.
Yep, we're human.
You can't be perfect. And that was it. They'd move on. They'd show you how to fix it, and you'd be fine. And as long as you didn't make that mistake again in the next inspection, no big deal. Well, in 2023, the ATF revoked 157 FFLs following an inspection. So they took away 157 licenses from business owners, which was up from 88 in 2022. So a significant
That's a
jump.
huge jump.
Yes. And 165 FFLs were able to maintain their license after the revocation hearings in 2023, which was up from 83 in 2022. So what that meant is if you do lose your license, there's a process to go through to
Like appeal it.
and it's expensive and kind of long.
Yeah.
And if you got a big enough business, fine. So luckily 165 were able to do that. But then 80 FFLs out of that 165 just voluntarily surrendered their licenses in 2023 because of the clerical error, which was up from 69 that surrendered in 2022.
See,
And this isn't from doing bad business. This is just from clerical errors that happen.
This is kind of screwed up because I guarantee you, let's go do an inspection on the ATF. And I guarantee every single one of them would fail.
Oh, yeah. Like Matt Getz did that.
Yeah.
The director and grilled him is like, hey, you guys lost all these guns.
Yeah, you couldn't keep track of guns. Yeah, they can't keep track of stuff, and they're expecting you mess up on, you put the wrong digit or use one line or whatever, and you didn't date it. Like, come on.
I mean, stuff happens, especially like on paper forms like I use. I mean, sometimes people will mark an X where they didn't mean to, so then they cross it out. And normally you can just, as long as you both initial that, it's fine.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Or you accidentally put the wrong manufacturer, spell something wrong. But I think a lot of it's like the check marks or their name or address or something. Minor clerical errors that aren't going to change the outcome of anything.
Yeah.
But they are now making this a zero policy to where if you make these simple mistakes, instead of saying, this is how we're going to fix them, don't do this again.
See, I think
they're just revoking your license.
I think we should go, and if they're going to give us zero tolerance, they need to follow that same policy.
Yeah.
So if they come to your house trying to barge in without a warrant, that's zero tolerance. Boom, you're fired.
Yep.
I think if they're going to do it to us, we need to do it to them.
So with the 157 plus the 165, so that's like, what's that? My math is bad. A little over 300 FFLs that they
got rid of pretty much.
Luckily, the 157 just were like, hey, we're revoking it. Another 165 were revoked, but then they were able to activate them after those hearings, which again, expensive, long, drawn out process.
Yeah.
Probably
lost thousands of dollars.
I'd be like, hey, I'd have to surrender because I can't afford that. Like, so I know I'm probably due for an inspection here in the next year or two. So I'm a little nervous about that, especially after this. Luckily, Kansas ATF, I don't know. Of course, they did the thing with the bolt hole.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but
I don't know. That's crazy though.
I
can't believe they're holding other people to a standard that they can't even meet. That just blows my mind. That's like calling the kettle black right there.
I mean, anything in government, like even their pistol brace ruling and stuff like that had stuff in there that wasn't right, and it's like, all right, you guys can't even write law right, even though that wasn't law. But yeah.
Can't even follow directions.
So
you don't even know what ATF stands for.
Exactly. Assholes that I don't want to say it, but so another part of this is not only are they revoking the licenses and or making you go through that whole hearing process to get your license back, they're going to publicly name any businesses who close due to those clerical errors. They're going to post your name out there and be like, yep, we shut you down for these clerical errors. And a single violation can be interpreted as breaking the law and your license revoked.
That's BS.
So, you accidentally checked this mark box.
What do they call that? Where they ruin your reputation and name? That's what they're pretty much doing to you.
Yeah. Yeah, they. Well, I mean, you're not going to get your license back at that point, so
Yeah.
you're going to have to change the business name. But yeah, that tarnishes your business
reputation
name.
and everything.
So awesome, ATF.
Wow.
But don't worry, we'll work on tarnishing the ATFs.
Yeah, I'll do it
Reputation.
even more now.
Yeah. So they're ridiculous.
How about we put out every ATF agent's name, address, and all that? I bet they'd love that, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
Because that's pretty much what they're doing there.
But the great state of Kansas, which Chris and I both reside in,
Yes.
we have a representative man who has noticed this, and they have actually introduced HR 7042. And this is actually a bill that was January 18th of 2024. Let me share my screen so you guys can see this. So this is what he came up with to kind of fight this. And it is called, what was it called? The
Rifle Act.
it's called the Rifle Act in short, but it's Reining in Federal Licensing Enforcement Act of 2024, or the Rifle Act. So this is basically to help combat those zero tolerance policy agents and give the FFL some hope. And it sucks that we have to make a bill to do this, where 2022 and prior this wasn't a big deal,
but now it is.
But now all of a sudden it is. So yeah,
go Kansas.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, even though we have a Democratic governor, we're still pretty good. Like as far as guns go, I mean, we're pretty.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've talked to a lot of the local police in our city, and a lot of them are pro-gun.
Yep.
They would not follow any thing coming from Joe Biden or something saying, "Hey, go take these guns." So we're luckily here in Kansas, but again, if you live somewhere like California or maybe like a state that's borderline, I don't know. But
also, I was going to bring up, did you see Remington pulling out of New York?
Yes, and good for them.
Yeah.
Good
I was like, thank God.
It sucks because there's so much history there for that company.
But that state,
you know what?
them.
Screw you, New York.
Yeah.
Like, screw you, New York, California, New Jersey.
That's how I'd feel if I was
all of you.
Any of these manufacturers for Second Amendment and you're in these states, I'd just move. Prove a point.
I wish Arrow
Yeah.
would, and it sucks because they already invested so much money of where they relocated.
Yeah.
But they can't sell to their fucking residents now, and they're giving all this tax money to this city and state that is anti-gun, basically, and they made it really difficult to own firearms in Washington, especially the assault weapons.
That's BS.
Yes. It sucks.
Yeah.
But good for Remington, and same thing with Stag Arms, because Stag was in Connecticut, and they relocated everything to Wyoming, which, I mean, you can't be more freer than Wyoming, right? Which it's funny because it's like, where'd you say Remington moved to?
I don't know where they moved to. I just saw that they moved out of New York.
You want to go to a state where it's probably not going to flip, like Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming. Those are safe states. I don't know if I'd want to go to a borderline state like Georgia or anything like that. But yeah, I did see that. I forgot where they were going.
I saw it on like a clip of it came through real quick. I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah,
but I didn't have any cell phone service.
Yeah, and that's
today,
another thing that's going on is because all these ridiculous gun laws where businesses are having to pull out of where they were and move, and that affects obviously the local economy there and tax dollars, and then employees that work there.
Yeah.
That sucks, especially if you worked for Stag Arms. Like moving from Connecticut to Wyoming,
it's a big move.
That's a big move. If you relocate with them, I mean, you're moving across country, completely different environments.
I'd hope that some of these companies would help with relocation. I know some do, some don't.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm sure it's hard to find enough people in Wyoming to work for you.
What do you think about it, like moving with a company like that?
Would you do that? Like, say you worked for Stag Arms as I don't know, whatever you build guns. You're a gun builder. Would you relocate to a?
I would weigh like the pros and cons first, and if the pros say yes, I would.
I mean, there's a huge difference in the states.
Yeah,
obviously they both have shitty winters, but Wyoming,
you gotta look at the taxes and all that, and school districts if you got kids. So
and where exactly in Wyoming?
Yeah,
and if it's populated or not, because Wyoming is very vast, and
But I bet the cost of living is cheaper than.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it'd probably be beneficial. Sell your stuff and move there, and probably live like a king.
But unfortunately, you have all these rich assholes from California moving into Montana and those type of areas, and
We need to stop that.
ruining that.
Yeah. Yep. Go
And
stay
also
in your
going
state
to
and ruin it.
freaking Texas and ruining the
Yeah.
stuff down there. Ugh.
It drives me nuts.
Texas is so funny. Like, it's pretty much a red state.
Yeah.
And then you got cities like Austin that is just complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Because all these people moved during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if that was a political move, which I'm starting to think it was.
Because when it comes down to voting, it goes off of the big populous areas.
Yep.
And that's why, like, I guarantee you there's a lot of California that is Republican and pro-gun. It's just that all the population that get all the votes.
Well, that's how it is up in Illinois. Like, majority of Illinois is Republic, except for the Chicago area. And that's what ruins it.
Well, we showed that map of, was it Washington or Oregon?
Yeah.
Where
It was all red around it, and
It
then
was.
just little blue.
Yeah. And it's just because that's the most populated area. They got the votes and passed that stupid gun law.
Yep.
Whereas most of the state was
Yeah.
anti that.
Yeah.
And I think there was a part of Washington that wanted to become part of
They should do it
Idaho.
instead of population based off like miles. Like if you got like 300 miles of red and then only like 20 miles of blue, but that's most popular. They should go off the mileage, I think.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, a lot. If you go outside of Kansas City,
Yeah.
which, you know, Johnson County and like the inner city is pretty, a lot of it's Democratic, especially these Karens that live out here in the suburbs. But then as you go to all the, you know, the smaller rural areas,
It's Republican.
most of Western Kansas is red Republican. Like, I remember driving to back when it was like Trump 2020 and then 2024, all Trump signs everywhere, all over the state of Kansas, except for when you came into the city.
Yeah. Then it was a little bit of.
It was both.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. There was a house in one of these areas that had the Trump sign, and then the neighbors had like "fuck Trump" all the way around, and they had their Biden sign. I was like, really?
yeah,
I was like, if you were my neighbor, we would argue so much. I'd purposely like kill your lawn.
the first year Trump, what was it? Or no,
2020.
yeah, so 2020 we had just moved here. We've been here about a year, and I wasn't sure. I knew like the neighbors, close proximity, wouldn't care. So I put out the Trump "No More Bullshit" flag, and then I put a Trump sign because I was noticing that a few more houses in our neighborhood started posting up Trump stuff. I'm like, you know what? I think there's a lot more people that are pro-Trump,
That just aren't supportive.
and they're just not coming out and saying it because they don't want their house to get messed up. So I'm like, you know what? I put out that Trump "No Bullshit" flag because it was really cool. I got that in Ocean City, and then put out like some Trump's, like, you know, one of those road signs that you put out there and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, somebody messes that up, not a big deal. I hope they don't TP my house or something. But hey, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. There were a couple other people that put out like Biden flags. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
No big deal. You support Biden, I support
It's
Trump. I'm not
funny.
going to destroy your property or anything
that's
because of that.
stupid. You
Yeah.
can't, like, I don't understand that. People destroying property over.
Like, just because you don't agree, you're going to destroy
just because
that.
we have different opinions. Okay.
Yeah, I was hesitant because of that. I'm like, man.
I don't put any of that stuff out. The only thing I fly is my red, white, and blue American flag.
I was really
24/7.
hesitant, but then I started seeing more and more people put Trump stuff out. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I got cameras outdoors, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be the guy that would probably go out there and make it electrical. So they go and try to mess with it, and fucks them up. And then you're probably getting sued.
That or put like nails in your front yard right before the sign. So that way if they try to run it over, they run over all those nails.
And then you can get them. Hopefully they right there in your yard. Call the police on them.
Yep.
Destruction of property.
So yeah, luckily, hopefully, this Rifle Act of 2024 will help us FFL holders in combating with the zero tolerance ATF, because that's
crazy. I'm tired of the double standards in this country. It's
bad
just
for business and not good for anybody.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
I mean, gun shops and FFLs. I mean, we're struggling anyway.
Yeah.
Just because all the stupid gun laws that we have to keep track of, and
The media
they keep
brainwashing.
changing the damn forms, and we got everybody that's like, oh, why are you a gun dealer? You guys are bad. Like, you're the problem here. No.
Problem
You know what's
is,
the problem? Is those two juveniles that
problem is people aren't educated either about it.
Yeah.
That's what's sad. Like, you should probably be educated a little bit. If you're
Yeah.
going to say something, know what you're talking about. Just simple
Or
as
don't,
that.
and just like, if you have a political conversation with anybody, whether it be guns or about anything else, like it gets so heated because
Yeah, they can't stay calm. Like, you could be calm as a cucumber when they get all mad and hissy, and then they're blaming you for everything. Like, I'm just sitting here not arguing. I'm not yelling at you. Like,
kind of like when we showed that clip with Jon Stewart interviewing some pro-gun mayor or senator or something
Yeah.
like that, and it was supposed to be a friendly debate, but Jon Stewart would not let that other guy talk. He kept spitting out all this stuff, and then if this guy tried to fit in any words, he would then twist them.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this is what's wrong with America is that you don't hear each other's sides.
Yeah, you're not listening.
Like, as soon as he started speaking, he would just automatically butt in. And it's like, dude, this is
At that point, I'd just sit there and stare at him. Are you finished? Can I talk now?
and then he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm right, I proved you wrong, and then
No, because I didn't get a chance to say anything. You just made yourself.
but
look
he's
like
gonna
an ass.
spin it like, oh, you have nothing to
Yeah,
say,
I
so
know.
I won.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like, dude, like, we're not gonna see eye. Nope, I don't care if I don't see eye to eye. I'm not gonna try to. Neither one of us are going to change each other's minds.
Yeah.
That's it. But having the conversation of here's what I think and why, here's what you think and why, and
Yeah.
all right, well, maybe
There might be some things you agree with, some things you don't.
yeah.
That's part of having a conversation.
Like, everybody is either pro-gun or anti-gun. Well,
There's
there's
some
got to
people
be
a middle ground.
yeah. Okay, so we know obviously from the KC parade and others examples that gun control and just flat out banning guns is not going to work.
Yep.
That's not the problem. We've said it times and time again, and so have many other people. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Yep.
So there's got to be something else
Yeah.
to do instead of investing. I don't know how much California would have to invest in that thing, but
They
investing
invest
that in mental health
Yep.
and community programs and stuff like that.
Education on guns and what
Yeah.
they can do. And I don't know. Like, a lot of it, I feel like people are just so mute to what things are anymore because of reality. And
It wasn't that long ago. You could go to Sears and buy a gun.
yeah, Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, Walmart, you still can, but you can't buy handguns and stuff like that anymore.
Right. But buying a gun back, 50s and 60s, even the
I mean,
70s,
shit,
wasn't
they're
that big of a
going
deal.
to schools with shotgun racks in the back of their trucks.
Right. Yeah. What changed?
Yeah.
The guns got a little bit more advanced, but it's just people are filled with hate.
Well, that too. And people back then, they fought with their fist,
Right.
and they don't just do the easy way out.
Yeah. I think our problem is social media.
I agree. I don't think it's just social media. I think it's media in general.
Yeah.
I think media is the brainwashers of everything.
You mean they're not always telling the truth?
Yeah. It's crazy.
What? I thought if it was on the internet, it was true.
Wow.
It's getting really hard now because I'm
AI.
scrolling through Facebook. Like, I'll see photos of like these celebrities, but if you look at it, it's like that is AI.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like, oh, here's what so and so looked like back then. Here's
Yeah.
what they look now. And I'm looking at, it, I'm like, that's AI generated.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I'm like, if you're just scrolling real fast, it looks pretty damn close. But if you actually look at it, you can
Yeah.
tell it's AI generated. But the fact of how good these pictures are coming out is really scary.
yeah. It's
And especially with the whole Taylor Swift thing, the AI generated, some have seen photos with her. It's like it can be used in good things for editing and doing videos and things like
resume
that.
writing
But that kind of stuff is really scary.
yeah. I mean, yeah. And here, the crazy thing too, like you ever get those scam calls for like Medicare Part A and B?
Dude,
They
all
try
the
to-
time.
So I got a phone call. I think it was last week at like 6:50 in the morning, right? And I was answering it to chew them out.
Right?
Another guy, before I could speak, what the fuck are you calling me so early in the morning? I could hear him in the phone, like we were like this, like mine's right here, his is over here, and he was talking to him. I was talking to him, and I was like, this is fucking creepy. Like, he's talking to two people at once. Like, I wonder if they're piggybacking our numbers and using them,
Right.
because it was an area code for Kansas, and I was like, oh, maybe one of the new guys from work is calling me for something, because it was on my work phone.
Right.
So I answered. I was like, hello, and then it went into that, and then the other guy hey, you know what fucking time it is? Ah, and like, get me off this do not call list. And I was like, oh, dang, this is weird. Like, I'm hearing someone yell at the guy that's calling me. And I was like, what's going on?
Yep.
That's kind of weird.
I get, oh my God, so many calls. Like,
I'll mess with them at this point. If you're going to call me and try to waste my time, I'm going to waste yours.
you know, I stopped answering the calls, especially even if it looks like, because having a business
Yeah.
sucks too, because it could be a customer, but you don't know. My thing is, a lot of these callers, spam calls, all they need you to do is say hello, or like, hey, is this Keith? And you say yes. And then that's all they need on the recording.
I don't ever say yes.
Right. But if you're not thinking about it and you're just doing it real quick,
I'm just like, hello. That's it. And then
and maybe that's all they need to take your voice box and.
Oh, it'd be hard, I think.
I don't know.
Because
have you seen AI recently?
That or I'll be like, hola. I'll speak in Spanish.
But you don't know. I mean, is that going to be a spam call or is it going to be somebody that's calling?
You usually tell because it's like, and they'll be like, hello. Hello. You're like, oh, this is spam.
I hate it when I answer it and it's a freaking fax machine. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so loud and annoying.
I'm just so tired of it. Like, oh, this is Sydney with, oh, hi, Sydney. I'll just repeat their name.
I just don't. I just flat out, unless I
and then
know
they'll get me
who's calling.
over to someone. They're like, what's your zip code? I was like, I don't have a zip code. What do you mean? I don't have a zip code. Well, how do you have, what do you mean? I was like, I live on the streets. I walk. Like, I don't have an address. I'll just mess with them. Like, well, how do you live here? I was like, no, I'm in Mexico. How do you have this area code? I was like, I don't know, the same way you got that area code too. I was like, you're in some call center overseas. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then there's an article that came out today about China and their hacking and how pretty much bad it's getting. It's like, yeah.
It's crazy.
And then there was that huge outage today.
Yeah.
I had no idea about it. I don't think I was
I knew
affected.
about it. I was affected by it. I was at work getting ready to call the plant like, hey, I'm here. And it wouldn't dial through and it had the SOS in the corner. I was like, what? And then I was like, talk to my coworker. I was like, do you have AT&T? They're like, no. I was like, I think there's an outage. He goes, yeah, there is. It's the first thing that popped up on his YouTube. It was like 30,000 customers without. I was like, oh, man. I want to know what caused it. I want to know if it was a cyber attack or not. I'm guessing it was.
Probably. Yeah, that's what's scary is, you know, if you really hate America and you want to take out, it really hurt us, just take out our power grid.
That or our
phones. And
phones.
it's super easy.
Our phones, man. I think the phones are more.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's part of the power grid. But yeah, take out our phones. But I mean, even if you took out our phones, but we still had power, we could manage.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. It's when you take out our power grid where.
Yeah. Unless you're all analog, then you won't take it out. Like, I went through a cybersecurity training with CISO, which is Homeland Security, and they were talking about how cybersecurity and all these plans and everything for infrastructure, and I was like, easiest way is to combat this is just go back to analog. And he like just looked at me like, what? It's like, go back to analog. You don't have any controls. You don't have VPNs. You don't have IP addresses. They can't attack that because you're actually out there physically controlling and closing valves. I was like, we almost probably going to have to go back to that. Yeah, like.
I saw a video showing like what AI was just like a couple years ago. Like it was trying to show Will Smith do something weird with his face, and it was like totally like, what the hell is this? And then now, and it's like,
big difference,
dude. That looks real. Like, obviously that was AI, fake. Something was going on here, but this looks and sounds like Will Smith doing something. And it's like,
yep. And
it's funny because guess what's coming up?
Yep.
So how are you gonna know what's true and what's not?
You can't. You got to do your own research, and that's going to be even hard now because AI.
And how do you know what research is true?
Yeah, because Facebook today, I was messing, I made a post, and it's like, oh, use AI to Grammarly check and change it, and it's like, what in the world?
When I post a video up to YouTube, I have this vidIQ extension on, and it kind of helps with like analytics and stuff like this. But it has an AI to where it can depending on what you put, it can give you title ideas or description ideas, and they're not very good.
Yeah.
I know, like I see how it could be good, or give you some ideas on how to change it for the SEO and stuff like that. But I tried it last week, and actually I tried it for this podcast when I was doing the title, and I put it in this title, and then I'm like, all right, let's see what AI does, and I'm like, no, that's stupid. Like that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So there's still some work
learning
in certain programs, at least with vidIQ, but I don't know. I don't have anything AI. Like I don't have Chat GTP or.
Oh, I've got that.
I want to stay away from that stuff.
I mess with it just for like resume writing. Like I'll take a job description, literally put it in there, and then put my resume. Be like, what keywords is my resume missing for this job description, or what key points matches? So then I can go back and rewrite. But it's crazy.
Do you listen to Joe Rogan at all?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the one with him and Aaron Rodgers?
No, I haven't got to that one yet.
You should listen to that, because I always thought I never really followed Aaron Rodgers other than obviously watching him on
football.
But other than that, I'm like, just seeing and listening to the dude talk in some of the sporting events. I'm like, this guy's weird. Like, what is like? Is he a huge stoner? Is he dumb? Like,
I think he's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, but then I honestly listened. I had nothing other. I didn't really know much about Aaron Rodgers other than I thought it was weird because of the whole thing growing out his hair. And dude, he
made some good points.
He made a lot of good points, and it's like, and obviously Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan, and he sees things. But you listen to that podcast, and you're like, you know what? He's not as dumb as people have made him out to be.
He's a QB, because a lot of these QBs are really smart people.
Yeah,
and they don't realize that.
Luckily, because most people in sports or media or Hollywood are obviously way left side, like have all those ideologies. Where he's like, here's the problem, and him and both Joe Rogan got so much crap for the way they went through their COVID treatment.
Yeah, and
it's like, dude, it worked. Like
didn't matter.
We got so much crap from being anti-vaxxers. Well, look what's happening now. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to get demonetized here, but if you didn't get a certain thing in your arm that you were told to by a certain big brother, if you didn't agree with that, you were blasted. But now it's coming out that, oh wait, there's a lot of side effects happening here.
Yep.
And they're just like, we called this and we were blasted for it. We were name shamed, and Aaron Rodgers lost a lot of deals and money because of that. And it's like,
it's all about political power. It's all it is. It's all a game.
Yep. And then they were talking about like, hey man, if you really just want to mess up the U.S., it basically power grid. Go after the power grid. There's so many people that, even us. I mean, like even if we lost power, it's like, man,
it'd suck. Especially in winter.
Yeah. And it's like, I used to stockpile stuff. I don't anymore just because it all ended up going to waste, which I need to reconsider, but it's like, it gets expensive and then stuff to store. But it's like, man, with everything going on today, it's like becoming more and more, something could happen. And
have you watched Oppenheimer yet?
Yes. That
movie, it was long, but it was freaking good.
Yeah, I think it was a little too long, but it's good.
I didn't realize the political stuff behind it.
Yes,
I didn't know all about that.
I didn't realize Einstein refused.
Yeah,
and for good reason.
Yeah, it was crazy though. Like I didn't understand like the government going in there and trying to get his clearance removed and all that.
But again,
that was crazy.
This being Hollywood, how much of this is actual
I went and like tried researching it, and I guess this happened.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, wow, interesting. I didn't have no idea about that.
I'm really careful with some of those movies because they dramatize everything.
Yeah, well, I started going back and like researching it. I was like, I knew about them, but I didn't know like that side. And I was like, oh,
so
crap.
You guys were such like wanting us to do this, and all of a sudden we have it, and now you're like, oh,
yeah. And they don't think they really knew.
It's funny how they like did the test there, and like they all got the shockwave and stuff. I'm like, that can't be good for you.
Yeah,
Like,
I guarantee. Yeah.
yeah, I always forget. Like when you think of Einstein, I forgot he was alive in those days.
Yep. Like the beginning of the movie, where like, "Was that Albert Einstein?" And I was like, "What?"
Like I didn't think he was alive back
I didn't
then.
even think they knew each other.
Yeah, weird. I
Yeah.
wish I was that smart. Like
Yeah.
to be any of those guys in that program or
That was crazy.
room or whatever. Like
Yeah,
that'd have been
it was interesting.
there'd be a lot more tighter security these days than there was back then.
Yeah, that was
sure.
just nuts.
And they built that entire city just for that, and that city's still around.
Yeah, that was like, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, good movie. A little long, but
Yeah, it was really good.
I like that Cillian Murphy.
Yep.
I haven't seen Peaky Blinders yet. I need to.
God, it's so
I've
good.
actually been binge watching Boardwalk Empire,
Oh yeah.
and that's actually really good. I like if you like, we like the 20s because of the music,
Yep.
but prohibition and just showing how much, powerful people that made these laws didn't actually follow the laws that they wrote.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because all of it is all these politicians and powerful people. They're the ones making money off of this prohibition,
Yep.
and it's like
That's how it was. Yeah, it's crazy. Like the whole weed thing going on. Like Declaration of Independence written on cannabis.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Washington had farms of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's eye opening. I don't know how much of it's factual and stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
somewhat accurate.
somewhat accurate because, powerful people.
Yep.
And it's funny because it's it's judges.
Yeah.
And this judge is making money and indulging in all this illegal activity. But then if you're caught doing it, he's going to judge you and make you go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
This is why our government is so.
Our justice system screwed up.
I think we need to get money out of politics,
Oh yeah.
like big time. Like,
Yeah. I don't think they should have anything. They can't do inside trader. They can't do stocks. They shouldn't be able to do anything.
not just that, like, in order to run for president, you have to be a millionaire.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way.
No, take the money out of it. Like,
Yep.
that's if we took the money away from all these politicians,
They wouldn't do it.
no.
See, I would run for it. I wouldn't care.
I think that's the only solution because otherwise it's just going to keep going on
Snowball
as it goes on.
because they're getting greedy.
Yeah.
They want the money. Because it's crazy. You look at a lot of these people that got into politics, they weren't rich, but now they're multimillionaires, billionaires. That's interesting.
Say somehow the federal government, does a gun ban in the U.S., which would never happen, but say it does. You know how many of them would make money off of the black market?
Oh yeah.
They would make so much money, or trading, to other countries and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So they're going to profit off of the stuff that they're taking away from us.
Yeah. At
And-
that point, hopefully, we all stand together and use our Constitution and overthrow the government like we're supposed to.
One thing that was cool is we had Remus whiskey on. I can't remember the name.
Yep.
Remus. He's actually in the Boardwalk Empire because we looked on that bottle for history and how he had all these,
Yeah.
not bottles, but like what do you call them, the barrels stockpiled that you couldn't do anything with. So it's kind of funny. It's just now they in a recent episode showed Remus going to these high powered guys and was like, hey, we need to find a way to move this product. And it's funny just because like you look at the bottle now and just see the name, but it's like,
Yeah.
you actually kind of see what they had to go through and did.
Yeah, back then would be crazy to live, like mobster days.
I would have loved to live in the 20s just because I love that time period.
Yep.
I love the way everybody dressed.
Yep.
The music
Music,
back
yep.
then is awesome. It just, unfortunately, prohibition. What year did that end? Remember?
I don't.
But I don't know. I just look back. I'm like, that'd be cool.
20s, 30s, and 40s, I think would be awesome.
Yeah, I would.
Even the 50s, I think would be awesome.
I would skip the 30s because Great Depression.
Yeah.
I think if I had to go back and it's not the 20s, I would probably pick the 50s right after World War II ended,
Yep.
because that's when everything back,
Bel
new
Airs,
technology's coming out,
manufacturing.
and the cars are really awesome
Yep.
and stuff like that, and technology's taking off. Then you get into Vietnam, and I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with that stuff, but yeah, 30s and 40s would be cool minus the war shit and the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just like the, it's funny. Like it used to be, you go out in public or anybody comes over, you dress up.
Yeah.
Like people always used to wear suits.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Awesome.
Like when did that start
Changing?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know because I love the way they
Now
dress
you got a guy walking out in a freaking sweats and a hoodie, going to a fancy restaurant and wearing a hat, where people would literally dress up for dinner at their own house.
Yep.
Like go wash up, dress for dinner.
Yeah.
I would love to do that now.
Yeah.
But
probably get looked at all weird.
Yeah, I'd like to know when that changed. Like even in the 50s, people were dressing up. Maybe it was the hippie era.
I think it was 40s, 50s. Probably it started changing. That's when they started coming with jeans and t-shirts.
Yeah,
I think that's where it really changed.
You go back to that. Start dressing up for dinner.
Yeah.
Start going out in suits. Of course, that's expensive now.
It is. Suits used to be back then. I was like, man, I bet suits were cheap back then.
I don't know. Depends on.
Yeah, but they probably wore their suit 3 or 4 times a week.
Right.
They probably only had like 4 or 5.
Start dressing up.
Yeah,
Make trend.
I used to like doing that all the time. Not anymore.
Yeah, now it's just a pain.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
Hot, sweating.
Maybe that's why they stopped it. They're like, oh, wait, this is actually really hot.
Yeah.
And why everybody stinks.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, could you imagine the BO of people in the 20s and before that? Like,
yeah.
I watch these, they don't bathe regularly. And, it's like, you got to really stink.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We digress.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the 2 topics I wanted to touch on is the whole California wanting to make you register your guns, which no surprise there.
Yep.
Hopefully it doesn't pass. And if it does,
sorry.
sucks for you, California. 2025 is going to be a bad year for you law-abiding citizens.
Yep.
But again, how is that going to work? Like what?
We probably won't know anything till next year when it comes out and passes.
Yeah.
That's how it seems like it happens.
There's no reason to put on what ifs, but like any gun registration. I mean, you're going to have a lot of non-people comply.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to get every single, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think maybe 1%.
It did not apply to law enforcement, though. I know that.
That's
Imagine that.
Yeah. Go figure.
Go figure. Well, cool. Well, if you guys have any questions or anything, let us know down in the comments. Live streams are kind of fun just because then I don't have to edit if it goes live. I do have to edit for the audio only platforms, but that's pretty easy. So yeah, easy stuff. So yeah, I'll keep this one at an hour. Last one went a little long with Joe, but yeah. Would I buy this James E. Pepper again? Probably not. There's stuff I like better.
Yeah. Especially at that price point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool bottle to have on the shelf just because it looks like a decanter and kind of cool. I knew nothing about it going into it. If you like the dark, fruity flavors and dark chocolate, this might be for you. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I really didn't taste a whole lot of alcohol proof on that.
I
know we sniffed it and you got it, but after
on the
that,
backside I got it.
Yeah.
But once you put it on the rocks, it goes away.
Yeah, it was fine on the rocks. Not one of my favorite whiskeys, but not bad.
Yeah.
But would I buy it again? Probably not. I prefer to just open that Buffalo Trace bottle that I bought with this and drink that because I love Buffalo Trace is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in if you watch this. And if you have any comments, any ideas for future episodes, anything you want to talk about, let us know in the comments or, jump on YouTube. Our contact information's on there. Check it out. Write in a comment. Whatever. Cool. Well, we actually have an end screen this time. But Chris, while we transfer over to that, what do you got to say?
Remember, this is a YouTube podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and tickle that bell. If you're listening on any other platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, remember to hit that follow button. And with that, have a good one.